Something I've seen a lot over the years for aging haunt walls is using a spray bottle and a single color of paint. And while this definitely gets the job done, it's never really scratched the itch for me, if you know what I mean. So that said, in this video I'm going to show you an alternate approach to weathering using an airbrush and a sea sponge. You'll see that I have two different types of wallpaper. That's because I'll be covering two different styles of weathering based on color, but to get started I'll work on the beige side. The first thing I want to do is add some general staining to the wallpaper. To do this, I'm going to apply some burnt sienna paint thinned with water using my airbrush. If your wallpaper is a different color than mine, you'll want to pick a paint that's similar to the background but a few shades darker to help give it a dirty appearance. When I think I've got good coverage, I'm going to apply a slightly heavier pass in just a few areas and immediately follow up with a sea sponge to break up the soft edges left by the airbrush. With the sponge still damp, I'm going to apply some burnt umber to the sponge and we'll start to work the paint around the surface to give it the look of black mold. You really want to work the paint around by pouncing and turning the sponge to create variation in the application. This also helps to feather the edges to give that look that it's spreading. If you need a bit more working time, you can spray the surface with water so that the paint doesn't dry out as quickly. Now that I've got the darkest areas looking how I want, I'm going to grab the airbrush again to accentuate the wallpaper seam, since the wallpaper glue would likely fail and moisture would get underneath it. I'll follow up with the sea sponge again to soften the paint so it's not so contrasty. And with that, I'm going to call this side done. Now it's on to the blue side. Much like the beige side, I'm going to start with staining the wallpaper, but this time with burnt umber since the background color is darker. Again, I'm looking to create a stained look to the wall, but I'm going to use the sponge earlier on this side to help break up this grunge pass and help create depth for our top bit of weathering. Now I'm going to take this faded jade color and we'll apply it with the sponge just like I did with the burnt umber on the beige side. But for the blue side, it'll give the look of hard water or limescale damage. Once I've got good coverage with the jade color, I'll grab the airbrush again and we'll add some more depth to the finish with the burnt umber. The last step will be to darken up the lower edge of the wallpaper with some matte black spray paint, followed by a bit more sponge work using whatever paint is still on the sponge. This is one of those really subtle touches that helps to make the black paint not look so flat. You could do this with the airbrush, I just didn't have any black paint on hand. And with that, I'm going to call these done. Clearly this isn't a time-saving technique, especially if you've got an entire haunt to paint. But if you're looking to take maybe one or two scenes and really step them up, it's a great way to make a space feel more immersive using a limited number of tools and a really forgiving technique. So you should consider it. Anyhow, that's going to do it for this video. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and leave a comment below. And as always, go make something.